Yes, I kind of might end up making myself look like a dumbass because I'm not a medical expert, but I thought I'd give my opinion on stem cells. I learned about them in high school for the first time, but have recently begun improving my knowledge on them some more. But also recently, I noticed that there is a debate about them, and I was quite surprised actually.
Embryonic stem cells can become heart, blood, brain, or skin cells, depending on the way they are grown.
Stem cells are cells that haven't been differentiated into other cells that serve a function in the body, and they can divide in self renewal to produce more at the same types of cells in the body. To explain this a bit more simply, a cell that makes up your eye is unique to only your eye. You can't place it on any other part of your body and have it renew those cells. Research into this study started in the 1960s at the University of Toronto by Ernest A. McCulloch and James E. Till, but the implementation of any kind of stem cell surgery has sparked a debate, although a meager small one. To start off with both sides, I'll start with the pros of stem cell surgery because I actually agree with them. The main reason why stem cell research is being praised is about how it can revolutionize the way medicine can heal human bodies. The most fascinating one is about how stem cells can heal spinal fractures. As we all know, breaking your vertebrae will result in permanent paralysis. However, stem cell surgery will make that a thing of the past, as it can repair bone cells. Stem cells may also cure diseases such as Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or cancer in the same fashion by repairing cells, and would also push for the possibility of embryonic treatment. Furthermore, stem cell research will also open the door to other forms of treatment such as natural body regeneration, and one such study which is even being done at the military hospital in Kansas. Here's a snippet from a documentary about how it works on military veterans.
And for us. So we give generously to them. And one in particular is a gentleman from back in the Midwest, a little higher up than Kansas. He was here at Fort Riley and was injured here, not in the war, but was serving his country here at Fort Riley and had severe injuries.
Blaine suffered a traumatic brain injury. He was out on a weekend on his motorcycle, and a young lady pulled out in front of him and he hit her head on. He suffered, of course, the brain injury, a fractured jaw, broken collarbone, broken rib, punctured lung, lacerations to the spleen. The main thing has been the brain injury that's affected him most, leaving him 100% disabled.
We'd go to the end of the earth for Blaine. We've tried acupuncture. They are doing physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, but he really had plateaued. Most things weren't working. There were things that we wanted to try that his doctors would not authorize because he was too far past his brain injury.
He couldn't hold his head up. He couldn't sit up straight. He couldn't use his arms other than to shake your hand. If you put your hand in his, he could hold it a little bit grasp, but he couldn't move his arms and utilize them. Had no use of his legs. They traveled all the way back down here to Manhattan specifically to have stem cells done at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center just because of the reputation that we started to develop around the country.
And ironically, this is actually the exact place that Blaine received his injury, so we have now come full circle.
Since we've had the stem cell 6 months ago, there's been so many things. I mean, I'm sure we're forgetting a lot of things. And things like his body temperature regulating were things that we didn't really notice, until we
sat down and thought about it. He also is able to feed himself based upon the type of food. If it's something that he can stab with a fork and it stays on the fork because he does have a trimmer in that left hand, he can feed himself, and then he also is able to give himself drinks on his own as well.
Without this place, without KRMC, I don't know where we'd be today.
It's like they're waking up. Like they've been sleeping, and the stem cells are making that connection now in the brain so that the arm, hand, and leg are starting to work again.
After we treated him, his mother sent us back videos of Blaine writing his name on a whiteboard It wasn't perfect penmanship, but that's not the point. The point is Blaine can now write. Blaine was able to hold his head up. And about a month later, they sent us pictures of Blaine sitting up with minimal support in a chair at his physical therapy place. And everyone's excited, thinking eventually he'll be able to hold himself up. He has much more use of his arms, he can turn his head, and you wouldn't believe the difference in his appearance. He has sparkle in his eyes again.
But naturally, there are ethical questions many people, especially right-wingers, have brought up. So here are some arguments against stem cell research and my responses to them. One argument against the research is about how we'll be messing with the natural order and essentially trying to turn humans into something they're not. I personally am against messing with the natural order of not just humans, but nature in general. I have even touched on that subject in a video in the past when it comes to cybernetic augmentation, but stem cell research does not fall into this category. This is only a means of healing a body, and there is a big difference between conducting medical procedures to revive someone and voluntarily mutilating yourself in an attempt to make the human body superior. Stem cells are only for treatment. They are only meant to regenerate a fractured body back to its original state, not make it superior or different to what it was before. In the end, it's basically no different than treating a flesh wound. Another argument against stem cell research is about the method of extracting them, and this one shows their lack of knowledge. One way to extract stem cells is to collect them from fetuses. But that is not the only way. Stem cells can also be collected from umbilical cords after a child is born, and during treatment you only need a few stem cells to begin the process of healing a serious injury, because they regenerate quite fast. And another argument against stem cell research is about how it would lead to unethical research, such as cloning or artificial uterus, which I would argue doesn't stand since, like I said previously, they're only used for healing. You don't have to spread that knowledge to a completely different field. Medicine is about making sure your body is intact. It is in no way trying to mess with the human genome or even the soul. Every advancement in medicine, from maggot therapy to penicillin to artificial insulin to 3D printed organs, have all brought the same result, making sure that the human body is healthy and intact. Stem cells would be the exact same thing, and there's no ethical debate when it comes to keeping a person's body in check.